1970, 1972, 1973, all outside the state. Show at the Studio Museum in New York, February 1978, all outside of the state. And so the state, the Times and Democrat was printing about those things in the state. Other people were not printing about them. They were outside the state. And when they found out that they went someplace else and found out that people outside the state knew me, that's when the other media and the state began to ask him, says, why didn't you put Twiggs in there? He said, the book was about painting and printmaking and drawing, and Twiggs does batik, and that's a craft. That's not really a painting. And so I couldn't include him in there because he doesn't really do paintings. He does batik. That's a craft. Now, you know, batik as a craft looks like this. This is how batik looks as a craft. You do it this way. See? This is batik. Same thing I do. See? That's batik. I used to have my kids do this in high school when I taught high school, and when I first came to South Carolina State. We get a piece of white silk, and then we make this. But what I do with mine is I went from this to mounting it on a board and painting on it. But he never saw that. He just thought of it as a craft. You know, how could you recreate what those people in that church must have felt? You know, how do you do that? And I think more than anything else, when I did the paintings, and people looked at the paintings, and some people were crying, and I mean, with the video that went with them, I don't know that I had ever done a series of paintings that elicited that kind of reaction, that people really felt that way. So the question is, you know, how do you do that? And I don't know how you do that. You know, I really don't know. Only thing I know is that when I'm painting, I have to get a special kind of feeling in the work. And because I work with dyes and wax, I don't work with paint, I work with dyes and wax. So when you work with dye and you're using fabric, the dyes seep into the fabric. And therefore, it looks so different from paint, because paint lay on the surface and it's kind of shiny and all of that. Dye seeps into the surface. And so when a viewer looks at a batik painting, it draws them into the surface. You know, for instance, I mean, if you look at this flag here, from a distance, you see a flag. But if you look closer, there's all kinds of stuff in here. Spots. I mean, this is supposed to be an old flag. You know, brown stains, spots. Part of it is missing. Notice that you don't see all the stars out here because half of it is torn off. Here, this joint. You know, you see part of a star, so you don't see the whole thing. This is a piece of like a ragged part of it there. Mm-hmm. And so by doing this, you can create, so it's not this very straight line that makes a brand new flag. It's a kind of an old flag. And by having spots on it and putting stains on it, and this X that looks like a stain on it, then it makes it look as if it is not a brand new flag that you fly on top of a pole. And right. you could do that with dye. And that's why I work with dye. Mm-hmm. Because I think that one of the things as an artist, you gotta have a voice. Mm-hmm. You know, you gotta have a voice. and with me, batik speaks quietly. You know, it whispers a little bit. You know, it doesn't jump out at you. But I believe wisdom comes with quietness. You know, Don Corleone, when he said, "Make an offer you can't refuse." You know, they talk with this kind, and what they do is they use few words too. Mm-hmm. You know, when your grandmother will tell you something, she'll say, "Son, don't count your birds before they come." and she's talking in this. And you know what she's talking about.
I was about to say, you know,
You know,
have to talk a lot.
you know, you don't have to talk. What they have done, because they've lived a long time, they have learned how to communicate with very few words. And when they do it, they're not loud, they whisper. You know, or they say, hey, whisper. And so,
sometimes just a look,
and so for me, Batik had that. You know, it had that kind of whisper. And the other thing is that most artwork you stand away from it, look at. With Batik, because of all that stuff happening with the dyes in it, it kind of draws you in, and the closer you get, the more you see. I have people who say to me, you know, I have a painting that you did, I had 10 years, and every time I look at it, I see something different. Well, I don't know that I put something different in there. Only thing I know is that when I'm doing it, it has to have something for me. It has to have that kind of appeal to me.